In the tapestry of human history, menstruation emerges not just as a biological phenomenon but as a rich tapestry interwoven with threads of culture, religion, and social dynamics. From the parched sands of ancient Egypt to the verdant valleys of the Maya, women have navigated the complexities of their menstrual cycles with ingenuity and resilience, employing natural materials like ashes, dry grass, and even animal fur to manage this intimate aspect of their lives. These practices, often overshadowed by taboos and misconceptions, reveal a profound relationship between the female body and societal perception, encapsulating the duality of fear and reverence that menstruation has inspired throughout the ages. In ancient societies, menstruation was frequently shrouded in mystery. In ancient Rome and Greece, it was both feared and revered, with beliefs that menstrual blood held potent qualities, capable of cursing or blessing. Meanwhile, in cultures like that of the nomadic tribes, the cyclical nature of menstruation was aligned with the rhythms of life and fertility, highlighting the essential role of women in sustaining communities. Conversely, in places like China and Japan, menstruation often fell under strict social stigma, underscoring the patriarchal structures that sought to control and sanitize women's bodies. As we delve into these varied perspectives, we uncover not only the practices surrounding menstruation but also the underlying implications for women's status and power within ancient societies. The ways in which women managed their menstrual health were not merely practical. They were deeply embedded in the cultural, political, and spiritual landscapes of their time, reflecting a complex interplay between autonomy, identity, and societal control. Through this exploration, we are invited to reconsider how menstrual practices have shaped, and been shaped by, the civilizations they inhabited. The intersection of menstruation and gender in ancient societies. Menstruation, a natural biological process experienced by women, has long been intertwined with cultural, medical, religious, and political narratives throughout history. In ancient societies, this monthly occurrence was not merely a biological phenomenon. It was a complex interplay of gender dynamics, societal norms, and power structures. Women utilized materials such as ashes, dry grass, and animal fur to manage menstrual flow, reflecting not only practical adaptations but also the varying degrees of societal acceptance and stigma surrounding menstruation. This introduction aims to explore how menstruation was perceived across different civilizations, revealing the diverse implications for women's status and agency in ancient societies. In ancient Egypt, for instance, menstruation was often shrouded in both reverence and taboo. Women were believed to be impure during their menstrual cycles, and sacred rituals were designed to cleanse them. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical texts, mentions various remedies for menstrual issues, showcasing an early understanding of women's reproductive health. However, the societal perception of menstruation as a source of impurity also limited women's participation in religious and social activities during their cycles. This duality illustrated the complexity of gender roles in Egyptian society, where women could wield considerable power, yet their bodies were simultaneously subjected to rigid control and scrutiny. In ancient Greece, menstruation was steeped in philosophical and medical discourse, particularly through the works of prominent figures like Hippocrates and Galen. They described menstruation as a necessary bodily function for women, yet it was often framed as a weakness or as a source of irrational behavior. The idea of hysteria, tied to the womb, emerged from this perspective, reflecting how menstrual cycles were pathologized. Women were often marginalized in political spheres, and their natural processes became a means to justify their exclusion from public life. This perception resonated throughout the Roman Empire, where women were often relegated to the domestic sphere, their menstrual cycles seen as a hindrance to their societal contributions. Conversely, in the Maya civilization, menstruation was viewed through a lens of sacredness and spirituality. Women held significant roles in religious rituals, and their menstrual blood was considered powerful, symbolizing fertility and life. The act of menstruating was linked to the cycles of the moon, illustrating a deep connection between femininity and nature. However, this reverence also came with restrictions. Menstruating women were often expected to isolate themselves from certain activities, reflecting a complex relationship with their own power and societal expectations. In East Asia, particularly in ancient China, menstruation was embedded within a framework of Confucian values, which emphasized family lineage and male authority. Women's menstrual cycles were closely monitored, and traditional practices involved restrictions during menstruation to ensure the purity of both the woman and her family. The use of natural absorbents, such as cloth or plant materials, was common, reflecting both practicality and a societal tendency to regulate women's bodies through various cultural practices. Menstruation was often a topic shrouded in silence, revealing the broader societal discomfort with female bodily autonomy. In Japan, the Shinto belief system honored women's menstrual cycles as a form of life-giving energy. The Shinto goddess of creation, Izanami, is said to have given birth to the islands of Japan, with her menstrual blood symbolizing the life force of the land. However, this reverence was juxtaposed with societal practices that demanded purity and seclusion during menstruation, illustrating a tension between sacredness and societal control. Nomadic cultures also provide crucial insights into the understanding of menstruation. Among various indigenous groups, women's menstrual cycles were often seen as a natural part of life, respected and integrated into the community's daily rhythms. The use of natural materials to manage menstruation was not just practical. It was a reflection of the deep connection between women and their environments. In these societies, menstruation could symbolize strength and resilience, contrasting sharply with the often negative perceptions found in more sedentary, patriarchal societies. Across these diverse civilizations, menstruation was frequently perceived through a lens of taboo, yet it also held sacred connotations that reflected women's roles and the power dynamics of their societies. This complex interplay between biology, culture, and gender illustrates how menstruation shaped and was shaped by the broader context of ancient life. Understanding these historical perspectives provides crucial insights into how menstruation continues to influence gender discussions today, revealing enduring legacies of power, stigma, and the quest for autonomy. As we delve deeper into the histories of ancient societies, the narratives surrounding menstruation emerge not merely as tales of biological cycles, but as reflections of the intricate tapestry of human experience, identity, and societal structure. The intricate relationship between menstruation and gender in ancient societies serves as a profound lens through which we can explore the complexities of women's roles and their societal standing. From the reverence seen in Maya culture, where menstruation symbolized life and vitality, to the stigmatization and restrictions imposed in ancient Egypt and Greece, the narratives woven around menstruation reflect deep-seated beliefs about femininity, power, and purity. In nomadic cultures, menstruation was often integrated into the communal rhythm, showcasing a respect for natural cycles that contrasts sharply with the taboos found in more urbanized civilizations. This duality of perception, as both sacred and profane, reveals how societies grappled with the essence of womanhood, often oscillating between reverence and repression. As we reflect on these historical perspectives, it becomes clear that the discourse surrounding menstruation continues to resonate today, influencing modern conversations about gender, bodily autonomy, and societal norms. By understanding the past, we gain insight into the ongoing struggles for recognition and equality, reminding us that the stories of women's experiences are not merely biological but are interwoven with the very fabric of social identity and power dynamics. Absorption techniques and cultural significance. Menstruation, a biological rhythm of femininity, has historically been framed within a tapestry of cultural, medical, religious, and political narratives. Ancient societies, recognizing the need for practical solutions to manage menstrual flow, developed various absorption techniques that were deeply embedded in their cultural contexts. Women resorted to materials available in their environments, including ashes, dry grass, and animal fur, not merely for hygiene but also as symbols of their societal roles and the complex interplay of gender dynamics. In ancient Egypt, women utilized papyrus, a widely available material, to create rudimentary menstrual pads. This use of papyrus was not only practical but also imbued with cultural significance. It linked the menstrual cycle to the cycles of fertility and agriculture that were central to Egyptian life. The mythological connection between the goddess Isis and the fertility of the Nile reinforced the sacred view of menstruation, where blood was seen as a life-giving force rather than a source of shame. The careful management of menstrual flow was integral to women's perceived ability to bear children, thus granting them a unique status in society that was simultaneously respected and constrained. Conversely, in ancient Greece, menstruation was often shrouded in stigma. Greek medical texts, such as those by Hippocrates, depicted menstrual blood as impure, leading to practices that marginalized women during their cycles. Some women turned to natural materials like dry grass or wool to absorb blood, but these were often associated with their inferior status in a patriarchal society. The cultural narrative surrounding menstruation was marked by the belief that women were untouchable during their periods, reflecting a broader societal tendency to control and regulate female bodies. This taboo not only reinforced gender hierarchies but also intertwined with the political discourse of the time, where women were often excluded from public life, their menstrual cycles seen as hindrances to civic engagement. In contrast, the civilizations of the Maya treated menstruation with a mix of reverence and caution. Mayan women used cotton, known as a sacred material, to manage their menstrual flow. The cotton's role in their practices echoed the culture's deep connection to nature and spirituality. Menstruation was viewed as a time of heightened spiritual power. Women were believed to be closer to the divine, capable of accessing unique forms of wisdom. This association endowed women with a certain respect, albeit paradoxically, as it also led to restrictions in their participation in certain rituals and activities during their menstrual cycles. Similarly, in ancient China, the cultural practices surrounding menstruation were steeped in Confucian ideals, which emphasized the importance of familial harmony and social order. Women used cloth or animal fur to absorb menstrual blood, and this practice underscored their role as caretakers of the home. The belief in the yin-yang duality highlighted the notion that menstrual blood was a representation of a woman's yin energy, linking it to the earth and the nurturing aspects of femininity. Despite this, women were often confined to domestic spheres, and menstruation was viewed with a mixture of respect and suspicion, reflecting broader societal attitudes that sought to control female sexuality and reproduction. In nomadic cultures, the practical aspects of menstruation management were shaped by the demands of a mobile lifestyle. Women often utilized readily available materials such as animal fur or dried grasses, reflecting their adaptability. However, these practices were not devoid of cultural significance. In many nomadic societies, women played crucial roles in maintaining the social fabric, and their management of menstruation was a testament to their resilience. The ability to balance the physical realities of menstruation with the demands of their environment spoke volumes about their status and agency within their communities. Furthermore, the taboo surrounding menstruation often served as a means of societal control. The regulation of women's bodies through cultural narratives surrounding menstruation reinforced patriarchal structures, dictating how women should behave and even how they viewed themselves. The negative perception of menstruation in many societies led to a cycle of shame that marginalized women's experiences and silenced their voices. In conclusion, the historical practices surrounding menstruation, particularly the absorption techniques employed by women, reveal a rich tapestry of cultural significance. From the sacred associations in ancient Egypt and the Maya to the stigmatized views in ancient Greece and Rome, these practices were not merely about managing a biological process but were deeply intertwined with issues of gender, power, and societal control. The materials used, ashes, dry grass, animal fur, were not just practical solutions. They served as reflections of women's status and the complex narratives that shaped their lives in ancient societies. Understanding these historical contexts allows us to appreciate the multifaceted nature of menstruation and its profound implications for gender and culture throughout history. The intricate tapestry of menstruation throughout ancient civilizations reveals far more than mere biological cycles. It uncovers the profound interplay between gender, power, and societal values. From the reverence of the Maya, where menstruation symbolized the essence of life and fertility, to the stigmatization faced by women in ancient Greece and Egypt, these narratives illuminate the duality of sacredness and taboo surrounding female biology. In cultures like those of nomadic tribes, menstruation was woven into the fabric of communal life, celebrated as part of nature's rhythm, contrasting sharply with urban societies that often imposed restrictions and shame. The tools women used, be it papyrus in Egypt or dry grass in Greece, underscore not only practical adaptations but also the cultural significance attributed to these practices. Ultimately, understanding these historical perspectives enriches our contemporary discourse on gender equity, revealing that the struggles for recognition and respect transcend time and biology. They echo through the ages, reminding us that the journey for women's rights is deeply rooted in the societal narratives of the past, where menstruation served as both a source of power and a point of contention. Understanding menstruation in ancient civilizations. Menstruation, a natural biological rhythm intrinsic to femininity, has always been enveloped in a complex interplay of cultural, medical, religious, and political narratives. In ancient civilizations, menstruation was not merely a physiological process. It was a significant phenomenon that reflected the status and power of women, shaping societal perceptions and practices. In various ancient cultures, menstruation was often surrounded by a veil of mystery and, at times, fear. Women utilized materials such as ashes, dry grass, and even animal fur to absorb menstrual blood, revealing not only the practical aspects of menstruation but also the broader cultural narratives that influenced their choices. In ancient Egypt, for example, women used papyrus, a highly valued plant, to create makeshift pads, which signified not only resourcefulness but also a deep understanding of hygiene and health. The medical knowledge of the time, intertwined with religious beliefs, regarded menstruation as both a natural occurrence and a sacred process. The Egyptians believed that menstruation was a form of purification, a time when women were especially connected to the divine, highlighting the reverence held for feminine cycles. In ancient Greece, menstruation was often viewed through a medical lens that was both enlightening and limiting. Hippocrates, often considered the father of medicine, documented menstrual cycles, but he also perpetuated a sense of taboo around them. He referred to menstruation as a disease that could disrupt a woman's balance of humors. This medical perspective not only stigmatized menstruation but also reinforced gender roles, as women were often seen as weaker due to their biological processes. Moreover, the Greeks believed that women were particularly susceptible to the influence of the moon, drawing a connection between the lunar cycle and menstruation. This association elevated menstruation to a cosmic phenomenon, linking women's bodies to the rhythms of the universe, yet simultaneously relegating them to a position of subservience within the societal hierarchy. In contrast, ancient Chinese civilization viewed menstruation through a more holistic lens. The traditional Chinese medicinal practice recognized the importance of a balanced life force, or qi, with menstrual cycles seen as an essential aspect of a woman's health. The Chinese employed various natural remedies and techniques to maintain balance during menstruation, suggesting an advanced understanding of women's health. Rituals surrounding menstruation, such as the use of herbal baths, were commonplace and reflected a societal respect for women's health. However, despite this understanding, menstruation was still tied to notions of impurity, with women often being sequestered during their cycles, illustrating the duality of reverence and restriction. The Maya civilization, with its rich tapestry of cultural and religious beliefs, also imbued menstruation with significant meaning. The Maya associated menstrual blood with life and fertility, viewing it as a powerful substance that could be used in rituals to invoke rain or fertility. Women would often participate in sacred ceremonies during their cycles, showcasing the power and reverence given to menstruation in their culture. However, the duality persisted, as women were also subjected to specific taboos, emphasizing the complex relationship between power and control in relation to gender. In nomadic cultures, where practicality often dictated daily life, menstruation was approached with a blend of pragmatism and spirituality. Women utilized readily available materials such as dried grass or animal fur to manage their menstrual flow, showcasing their resourcefulness. Yet, these cultures also recognized the significance of menstruation as a marker of femininity and fertility. In many tribes, a woman's first menstruation was celebrated as a rite of passage, indicating her transition into womanhood. This celebration, however, was often accompanied by a set of restrictions and expectations, reflecting societal control over women's bodies. Despite the varying perspectives, menstruation in ancient civilizations often existed within a framework of taboo and sanctity. The portrayal of menstruation as both a sacred function of femininity and a source of societal discomfort reveals the underlying tensions faced by women throughout history. The medical understanding of menstruation was deeply intertwined with cultural beliefs and societal structures, influencing how women were perceived and treated within their communities. In conclusion, the multifaceted relationship between menstruation, gender, and ancient societies speaks volumes about the status and power of women in historical contexts. As civilizations evolved, so too did the narratives surrounding menstruation, revealing a continuous struggle between reverence and restriction, empowerment and control. By examining these historical perspectives, we gain valuable insights into the complex interplay of biology, culture, and gender that has shaped women's experiences throughout time. The exploration of menstruation across ancient societies unveils a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices that resonate far beyond mere biology. In cultures like the Maya, menstruation was revered as a life-giving force, symbolizing fertility and the cyclical nature of existence. Conversely, in ancient Egypt and Greece, it often bore the weight of stigma, linking femininity to notions of impurity and societal control. This duality reflects broader themes of gender dynamics and power structures, where women's bodies became sites of regulation and reverence. Nomadic cultures exemplified a different narrative, where menstruation was woven into the fabric of community life, highlighting resilience and interconnectedness. The varied interpretations of this natural phenomenon reveal not only the complexities of gender roles but also the enduring impact of cultural, religious, and political ideologies. By examining these historical contexts, we gain insight into the ongoing struggles for bodily autonomy and gender equality that women face today. Ultimately, the legacy of menstruation serves as a powerful reminder of the intricate interplay between biology, culture, and the enduring quest for recognition and respect in the tapestry of human history. The sacred and profane in menstrual rites. Religious and cultural taboo. The sacred and profane in menstrual rites. Menstruation has long existed at the crossroads of the sacred and the profane, embodying both reverence and stigma across various ancient civilizations. This duality is particularly evident in how women navigated their menstrual cycles, often utilizing materials like ashes, dry grass, or animal fur to manage their blood, which was perceived not just as a biological function but also as a significant cultural and spiritual event. The materials chosen for menstrual hygiene were not merely practical. They were imbued with layers of meaning, reflecting deep-seated beliefs about femininity, purity, and power. In ancient Egypt, for example, menstruation was both feared and respected. Egyptian women often used papyrus, a plant native to the Nile, to create makeshift pads. The blood was considered a potent substance, linked to the goddess Isis, who represented fertility and motherhood. However, the Egyptians also believed that menstruating women were impure and should refrain from participating in sacred rituals. This dichotomy highlights how menstruation could simultaneously symbolize life and death, purity and pollution. Women were revered as life-givers, yet their menstrual blood was often associated with a need for seclusion during their periods, reinforcing the notion of women as both sacred and profane. Similarly, in ancient Rome, menstruation was a subject of both fascination and taboo. Roman women often turned to wool or animal fur as absorbent materials, reflecting the practical needs of their time. Yet, the societal perspective on menstruation was complex. While some scholars, like Pliny the Elder, noted the supposed magical properties of menstrual blood, believing it could ward off evil, menstruating women were also considered unclean. This ambivalence was reflective of Roman society's overarching patriarchal values, where women's natural cycles were seen as a source of both power and potential disruption. The Romans often segregated menstruating women from public life, a practice that mirrored broader socio-political dynamics aimed at controlling women's roles within society. In contrast, ancient Greek culture exhibited a profound ambivalence towards menstruation. The Greeks had varied beliefs about the menstrual cycle. Some viewed it as a form of divine punishment, while others recognized its connection to the lunar cycles. The materials used for menstrual absorption, such as rags or natural fibers, were often discarded without ceremony, reinforcing a sense of shame. However, the Greeks also revered goddesses like Artemis, who were associated with the moon and fertility, indicating a recognition of the sacred aspects of femininity. This dual perception created a cultural landscape where menstruation was both a source of shame and a symbol of divine femininity, reflecting women's fluctuating status in society. In East Asia, particularly in ancient China and Japan, menstruation also held a complex place within cultural and religious contexts. Traditional Chinese medicine viewed the menstrual cycle as a vital sign of health, yet women were often confined to the domestic sphere during their periods, reflecting a gendered divide that emphasized their roles as caretakers and nurturers. In Japan, menstrual blood was linked to kami, spirits, and while menstruating women were revered, they were also considered ritually impure. This cultural paradox demonstrated how women's bodies could be both vessels of life and sources of societal concern, revealing the tension between reverence and control. The Maya civilization presents another fascinating case. Mayan women used cotton cloth to manage menstrual flow, and their cycles were closely monitored as a vital aspect of agricultural and societal rhythms. The Maya associated menstruation with the cycles of life and death, viewing it as a sacred time that required rituals and offerings. This reverence for the menstrual cycle reflected a deep understanding of women's roles in both the domestic and the cosmic order, granting them a unique status that was often overshadowed by male dominance. Nomadic cultures also illustrate diverse perspectives on menstruation. Among certain indigenous tribes, menstruation was seen as a time of heightened spiritual power, necessitating special rituals and practices to honor the sacredness of the cycle. Women often removed themselves from communal activities, not as a punishment, but as a way to channel their energies towards spiritual reflection and connection with the earth. The materials used for menstrual hygiene were often nature-based, symbolizing a deep relationship with the environment and the cyclical nature of life. In conclusion, the interplay of cultural, religious, and political narratives surrounding menstruation in ancient civilizations reveals a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices. While menstruation was often shrouded in taboo, it simultaneously served as a powerful symbol of femininity, fertility, and societal control. The materials women employed to manage their menstrual cycles, whether ashes, dry grass, or animal fur, were not only practical choices but also reflections of their status, power, and the intricate dynamics of gender in their societies. Through a comprehensive understanding of these practices, we can appreciate the profound impact of menstruation on women's lives in ancient times, highlighting both their sacredness and their struggles within the broader tapestry of human history. The intricate relationship between menstruation and gender in ancient societies reveals a profound tapestry of beliefs, practices, and societal structures that shaped the lives of women. From the sacred associations in ancient Egypt, where menstruation was both revered and feared, to the stigmatization in Greece, where it was linked to weakness, we see how cultural narratives influenced women's roles. The Maya celebrated it as a source of life and strength, yet imposed restrictions that echoed the complexities of female power. These diverse perspectives highlight not only the biological realities of menstruation but also its deep-seated implications on women's autonomy and status. The methods of managing menstruation, whether through papyrus or dry grass, underscore the societal control over women's bodies, reflecting broader themes of regulation and oppression. As we navigate modern discussions on gender and bodily autonomy, the historical context of menstruation serves as a crucial lens to understand ongoing struggles for rights and recognition. Ultimately, the legacy of these ancient beliefs continues to resonate, reminding us that the discourse around menstruation is as much about empowerment as it is about the enduring quest for equality. Women's status and societal control through the lens of menstruation. Menstruation, a natural physiological process, has historically been enveloped in a complex web of cultural, religious, and societal narratives. This multifaceted relationship influences how women are perceived, their societal roles, and the power dynamics that govern gender relations. In ancient civilizations, the ways in which menstruation was managed and represented reveal much about women's status and the societal control exerted over them. In various cultures, menstruating women employed practical solutions to manage their menstrual flow. From ashes and dry grass to animal fur, these materials were often used for absorption. This choice of materials reflects not only resourcefulness but also the underlying attitudes towards menstruation. In many societies, the natural substances used were linked to the earth and fertility, highlighting a reverence for the cycles of nature. For instance, in ancient Egypt, menstruation was intertwined with the concept of fertility, linked to the goddess Isis, who represented motherhood and regeneration. Women were often seen as powerful bearers of life, yet this power was paradoxically constrained by societal expectations and fears surrounding menstrual blood. Conversely, in ancient Rome and Greece, menstruation was frequently viewed through a lens of stigma. Menstruating women were often considered impure or even dangerous. This perception can be traced to the medical theories of the time, which posited that bodily fluids were sources of imbalance. Women's roles were thus restricted during their menstrual cycles. They were often prohibited from participating in religious rituals, which reinforced their status as subordinate within the patriarchal frameworks of these societies. The taboo surrounding menstruation served to regulate women's behavior, controlling their access to public life and authority. In China, menstruation was similarly cloaked in notions of impurity, yet the cultural context provided a more nuanced understanding. Traditional Chinese medicine viewed menstruation as a vital sign of health and balance, yet women were often segregated during their periods, reflecting the duality of respect and restriction. The societal control over women's bodies was evident in practices that dictated their movements and activities during menstruation. This reflects a broader theme across civilizations where menstruation became a site of power struggle, an embodiment of women's potential and a mechanism for their control. The Maya civilization also offers a compelling case study. Menstruation was seen as a sacred time, associated with the cycles of the moon and agricultural fertility. Women were revered as life-givers, yet this reverence did not equate to equal power. Rituals surrounding menstruation involved offerings and ceremonies, suggesting a recognition of women's unique role in the cycle of life. However, the societal structures still limited women's agency, revealing a complex interplay between reverence and subjugation. In nomadic cultures, the relationship with menstruation can vary significantly. For some, it is a time of communal support, where women gather to share experiences and wisdom. The use of natural materials for menstrual management reflects a deep connection to nature and a practical approach to bodily functions. However, even in these societies, menstruation can carry implications for women's status and roles, influencing their participation in key activities such as hunting or gathering. The overarching narrative that emerges from these ancient societies is one of duality. Menstruation serves as a powerful symbol that embodies both the sacredness of life and the stigmas that constrain women. It highlights the tension between the reverence for women's ability to create life and the societal control that often seeks to restrict their roles. Understanding menstruation through this lens reveals how gendered power dynamics have been constructed and maintained throughout history. In conclusion, the management of menstruation, from the use of ashes and grass to the cultural narratives that surround it, offers profound insights into the status of women in ancient societies. It reflects a complex interplay of reverence and taboo, power and control, shaping both individual identities and societal structures. As we explore these themes, it becomes clear that menstruation is not merely a biological process but a cultural phenomenon that intricately weaves together the strands of gender, power, and societal control throughout history. The exploration of menstruation in ancient societies reveals a tapestry of beliefs and practices that shaped women's roles and identities across cultures. From the reverence bestowed upon menstrual cycles in ancient Egypt, where they symbolized divine fertility, to the stigmatization faced by women in Greece, where menstruation was often seen as a source of contamination, we witness a spectrum of attitudes that reflect deeper societal norms and power dynamics. The Maya celebrated menstruation as a vital force of life, contrasting sharply with the restrictive taboos imposed in China and Japan, where women's bodies were often subjected to stringent controls. These varying perspectives not only underscore the complexity of gender relations but also highlight the intersection of biology with cultural, religious, and political narratives. As women navigated these diverse landscapes, their experiences were shaped by both reverence and repression, illuminating how menstruation served as a lens through which we can examine women's status and agency. Ultimately, The historical discourse surrounding menstruation continues to resonate today, prompting ongoing discussions about bodily autonomy, societal norms, and the enduring legacy of gendered perceptions that still influence contemporary views on women's health and rights.